Hey, it's Hawken with Topdon. Today we're going to do a video showing you how to set up and basic navigation for the new ArtiDiag500 BMS. This particular tool is designed specifically for battery energy management system servicing and resetting. So we're going to take you through the basic setup, including the unboxing, the updating, and the registration process. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing we're going to start with here is unboxing the tool. So we'll go ahead and open it up here. And you can see that it comes in a nice zipper protective case. So we'll move the box out of our way here. So we're going to go ahead and unzip it here, pull the tool out. You see here is our connection cable right here. It's got the screw-in style pins. And of course the cable is also modularly replaceable. And here we've got our USB cable, which is going to be used specifically for charging the tool. The tools usually will come at least somewhat charged as an initial, so don't worry about that. And here is the tablet itself, so we'll go ahead and take that out of the wrapper. So here's the tool. You can see we've got our connector up here on the top. Here's our power button. And then over on the side here, we've got the door for charging it, which is a USB-C style. And so we're going to go ahead and we'll power it up, and then we'll go ahead and do the activation. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take you through the activation. First thing is going to be choosing a language. We're going to choose English for this particular setup video. We'll hit OK. And then we're going to choose our region. And in this particular case, I am in the central time zone for US. So I'm going to click this here, and we're going to go through, and we'll find Chicago. So there's the central time zone. And then I'm going to hit next. And now it's going to look for Wi-Fi, and I'm going to connect to some Wi-Fi here. Now we've got our password entered in here for the Wi-Fi. We're going to go ahead and hit save, and it's going to connect to the Wi-Fi. All right, so we've connected to the network. We're going to hit next. Now the tool is going to check itself for updates, and right away we're going to see there is a system update. So we're going to go ahead and let it do the system update first, and then we will proceed to the next step. So now the tool is going to install the update, and usually this doesn't take a super long time. All right, so now we're on the main screen. So I always like to go and make sure that there aren't any additional things we need to do. First thing we're going to need to do is activate the tool. So you're either going to create an account here down in the bottom left, or if you already have purchased a Topdon tool in the past, you can log in with your account here. You can log in either with your verification code, or if you already have a Topdon account, you can log in using the password, which is what I do because I've obviously got a lot of the tools. So I'm going to type in my username and my password and then log in. Okay, I have successfully logged into the tool. So once we've logged into the tool, typically the tool is going to recheck itself for updates. Of course, if there are any additional updates for any of the various software on the tool, we do want to do those. So you see there are quite a few here pending for the tool. Now, as always with our tools, you only need to install or update the software you're going to use by vehicle brand. So if there are certain brands of vehicles that do not exist in your particular area, there is no need to install that software on your tools specifically. So we'll go ahead and we'll let it update. The common library is definitely something you do have to update regardless. And then additionally, we have a number of different vehicle softwares. If we don't need all of these, which in my situation, I do not, we can go into the settings menu, and we'll go ahead and we'll walk you through the settings menu so you have some comfortability and familiarity with all the different things that live in here. So firmware update is basically going to be for the cabled dongle, which is essentially built into the tablet. So you're going to want to check that if you have any communication issues, if it won't read a specific car, you definitely want to go in and do the firmware update. History here is going to have all of your various pieces of information you've saved. So screen recordings, screenshots, data recordings for live data, and then pre and post scan related reports that you have. Additionally, we can uninstall softwares we don't need here. If we click the uninstall software button, which there are a number of different softwares on this tablet that I don't need. I'm in the North American market region, so I'm going to scroll through here and just look and see if there are any installed I don't need. Daihatsu, for instance, is a brand that is not present in America. Lancia is not applicable. Ford, AU, and EU are not applicable for my region. So basically, I'm just going to go through and delete each one of these that are not necessary or useful in my region, so I can simplify the menus that I have and also save some storage space. So Opel and Vauxhall does not exist in America. Peugeot, same scenario. Proton, Renault, MG, so once I go through the whole list here, I'm going to go ahead and delete, and we're going to uninstall those. And again, this is something you can do to save some space on the tablet and to ensure that you can always update the software. So we'll just let it do the deleting. There we go. Now, if we look through the rest of the tool screen here, we have our profile, which is basically all of our user information. Then we've got our shop info, which we can put in shop info if we're using this tool professionally. System update is checking the operating system for the tablet itself. You're definitely going to want to make sure you check that regularly, as of course there are always upgrades and improvements being made to the software. Customer feedback is a button you can use if you have any issues with the tool. So if the software fails to work on a specific vehicle, or you have suggestions of how it can be improved, the customer feedback button is for that purpose. Settings is going to allow you to modify any of the basic settings you may use. So your Wi-Fi network, your date and time, checking on how much storage you have available on your tablet at the time. So always something that's good to check periodically just to make sure there's nothing bogging it down or filling it up. If you can't make an update, this is something you can go in and check. Then we can change our language and units of measurement here. We can also turn on the automatic VIN function or leave it off. Typically, most people prefer to have it on. Remember, auto VIN is not necessarily going to work on older vehicles. Any vehicle preceding 2010 may have issues with automatic VIN. That's just the nature of older vehicles. Auto lock is going to allow you to lock your screen automatically. Transferring the device is for the purpose of transferring ownership. And then our About section here shows us the overall operating system of the tool. We can also check for updates in this screen, which is a good thing to check periodically, just to make sure that your tablet is up to the latest version. So that concludes our overview of the settings menu. As we look at the basic screen here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the update button first. Updating the tool is always, again, critical to getting the best functionality out of the tool. So once we select the softwares that are applicable to our region that we want to update, or again, if we only work on a certain group of vehicles, we're going to go ahead and set that up, and then we'll pause our video as it does all the updates, which again can take a substantial amount of time depending on which brands you are installing, and then we'll resume walking you through the tool. All right, so we are on a Audi here, and we got the 500 BMS, and we're just going to go in here and click on the BMS section of the tool, and we can either manually build the vehicle or automatically. It is ideal if you do have the tool connected to the internet, although we currently do not. So we're going to go to Audi, and of course we can auto VIN the vehicle or we can manually ID it. We're going to go ahead and read the VIN. Going to hit confirm, and it's a USA Canada vehicle. It is a 3.2 liter engine, and we're going to hit OK. It's a 2010, as you can see here, and basically all it's going to ask us to turn on the ignition switch and disconnect any battery chargers in order to do the reset. So we're going to go ahead and hit OK. And we're going to go into the gateway, which is where the reset is going to live on this one. So here you can see it's going to ask us for the battery part number, the manufacturer, and the serial number. Now what you need to understand on Volkswagen Audi is this control unit is essentially just looking for the serial number to change. So as long as we change one digit in the serial number, the battery management system will recognize that the battery has been replaced. It's also important to remember some of these vehicles will allow you to edit the battery chemistry and amp hour data. Make sure that you accurately enter that information when you change the battery. If the original battery is an AGM, you do need to put an AGM in the vehicle, or you need to be able to recode it. So in this particular case, we're going to go ahead and hit setting, and you can see here we can enter in a part number. We'll leave that the same. We're not changing that. Here's the manufacturer, and then we would change the serial number here. Now we're not going to actually complete the job on this particular vehicle. We have not replaced the battery yet, but we wanted to walk you through so you could see what the reset looks like. Once the serial number digit gets changed by at least one character, the module that is in charge of battery management will recognize that this battery has been replaced. Alright, so now we are on a Porsche, and we're going to show you what the battery reset looks like on a Porsche. Again, it's going to be a little bit different depending on the specific model that you are working on. We're going to go to the auto VIN. We are connected to the internet now. You'll also notice that the tool is charging itself when plugged into the data link connector. And so after the tool does the auto VIN function, we'll give it just a moment here, pulls the VIN, we're going to hit confirm. Here's the vehicle ID. So we have a 2012 Cayenne with the 92A chassis specification. So that's for 2011 through 17 here. So we're going to hit confirm, if my fat fingers can get it. And then we're going to go to the gateway, because again, we launched from the battery management system. And right here is the battery change button. And as you can see, this is very similar to Volkswagen. So there's a bunch of information about how to carry this out. But essentially what we're going to be programming in here is the amp hours of the battery. And again, we should never go down from what is listed here. We should always match that or exceed that. You can also check the parts catalog from Porsche for what the original battery was that was in it. Battery manufacturer is not actually that critical to enter. The battery serial number, the tool is, you need to input a new serial number so that the module that controls this particular function, in other words, charge management, recognizes that a change has taken place. And then we're going to enter in a battery part number. And again, I would just use the Porsche part number from the Porsche catalog. It's not critical what you enter here. Again, the serial number is what the tool physically uses, as well as the module on the car. That's what it uses to determine that a change of a battery has taken place. So as long as it sees a new entry here from what it previously had, then it will recognize the battery has been changed. So once we write that coding value, then the battery reset will be completed. So hopefully you can see this is pretty straightforward and easy to do. So again, this was a Porsche. And again, you're probably going to see pretty similar stuff on most other models. There may be a few other menu options or a few less menu options as far as what different parameters you can program in. And again, that was all through the battery management system tab. Alright, so we're going to do another battery management system video here on a BMW. So we're going to go ahead and auto VIN the vehicle. Okay, so here is the vehicle. It's an X5, it's an F chassis, and the ignition is going to be switched off automatically. And it's going to automatically switch itself back on in just a moment. So you will find that on some of the newer BMWs, they will automatically switch on and off the ignition. You can see here it's switching itself back on automatically right now. That's completely normal on these cars. Now we're going to go to hot functions. We're going to go to battery management reset. We're going to go to battery, and we're going to go to register battery replacement. And this is going to be a similar workflow to what we would have on the previous BMW video we showed you. So again, it's going to look for information first, and then it's going to bring up the necessary menus for you to make the battery exchange. Now, every vehicle is going to be different as far as what it does. Some vehicles are going to have a very integrated procedure like this, where it's going to actually scan various modules on the vehicle and go through a specific protocol before it will let you do the battery exchange coding. So just keep in mind that is totally normal. Some vehicles it's going to let you go right in and do the procedure right away. Others, again, it's going to actually make you do this stuff manually. Okay, so once again, we have a similar menu to what we had on the other BMW. So we can look at additional information on the battery, or we can go right in and do the registration of the new battery. So we're going to go there, we're going to hit continue, and it's going to be the exact same scenario that we had on the previous one. So basically we can enter in the capacity in amp hours. If we're going to change it, we need to use this menu here. And then if we're going to change the chemistry, we also need to make sure we tell the vehicle that. Once we go through and we enter in all of this information, then we can do the service function ending and the continue button. So again, that is the basics of how you get into and perform battery registration on BMW.